So since we moved back to Nashville and in the years before when we lived in Nashville, one of the top questions we get asked is, hey, when I come to town, where can I go to see celebrities?
It's not going to be on Broadway.
It's not where you think. It's the most unlikely place, and it's super easy for anybody to be a part of this. We will fill you in on this super secret location in just a few minutes. Well, we'll start with just a quick mention because we haven't had a chance to talk to you since it happened. But Matthew Perry passing away, 54 years old. And he's one of those cases. It's kind of like the rock stars of old, the Jimi Hendrixes, those where they had such a troubled life, but they were such a I would consider him, I don't know if I could say genius, but he's definitely a comedic superstar. Very funny, able to take timing and make things funny that maybe weren't that funny to begin with. So sad.
But I think about like the first time I saw him was in a movie called She's Out of Control. I know that, the big news about him was he turned down a role in Independence Day that Harry Connick ended up doing. Yeah. Those kind of things. But where it hits me, and I think a lot of people, Friends was the first show for my age that I remember one night they referenced the Super Friends. And I was like, that's a reference for me.
You're Captain America. I understand that reference.
That's exactly what I did, because I was like, because right before Friends, all the shows referenced shows my parents watched.
Yeah.
And that was the first show for my age group that I'm like, hey, that was written for me. That joke was written for my age. And him dying, I think he's the first of that group of people that I'm like, oh, yeah, I grew up, he was the first adult show that was. So it just
Friends was such a monster of a
iconic
of a show. It was iconic, and it's so close to people's hearts. I was amazed watching social media and seeing the comments that people made about how important that show was to them for whatever and for various reasons. So when you have someone like that who you feel like because they were in your living room every week for so many years, it's just such a tragedy. And when he was so troubled and had so many problems, it just breaks our heart.
I know some people that know him from they live in L.A. at the old studio we used to go to, as a matter of fact. And he would be in there doing something ever so often. And they said he was always super kind, super witty, super funny. They always said he was Chandler.
Well, I love the thing that was being passed around right after he passed away from his book, his memoir, and then the interview he did where they asked him, "What do you want to be remembered for?" And it was such a lovely segment about him wanting to be remembered for helping people and doing positive things. He said, "I know it's going to be Friends, but I wish it wouldn't be. I wish it would be these other things that I've done." And I think that's important that the things he was trying to get started, they've said they will carry on.
Sober House,
Sober House for people, for men, I think is specifically. But he's going to carry that on, and that's important. But then on the flip side of this, of the feelings, is the aggravation of when we post something like this, because we get that information pretty quick.
And we have sources because we're in the media, so we verify it, and then we have sources. And there's a lot goes into it. But I guess every time a celebrity dies, we're going to have to deal with this.
We will.
But it's a great example of what society is like. And here's why I say that. We post, Matthew Perry has passed away. And by that time, we were a little late on it because we weren't near our computers to be able to put it up. So CNN already had it, NBC, ABC, it was already out. And immediately I noticed we've got 100-something comments of people so sad. We love him. We miss, love Friends. And then some lady clearly Googled, she's from Knoxville, clearly Googled Matthew Perry death hoax, which pulled up a story that's 4 years old. And she screen grabbed that story and then made a big post on our page about, this is a hoax, get your facts straight. And then started commenting back to everybody that was going, oh my goodness, this is so sad. It's not true. It's not true. Letting people know we messed up.
Whereas you can just see her just taking joy in this.
Where had she just said Matthew Perry news, it would have pulled up countless sources to prove that the story was accurate. But instead, we spent an hour responding to people that were saying, how dare us? We need to fact check. We need to be better. And it's like, all we did was report the news that we verified.
Yeah.
You didn't verify. You Googled a story you wanted it to be, and that came up, which anybody can do.
Maybe you should be better.
Yes, that's what I'm saying is before you get ready to correct somebody and tell them they're wrong and they need to do their research, do yours.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Check one other news source.
Yeah, maybe
one.
just one. I think Kris will agree with this. No, now don't argue with me. I enjoy correcting people.
He lives for it.
Well, I shouldn't. That's not the way to say it. I don't enjoy it. I don't go around waiting for those no, I don't go around looking for opportunities.
Oh, no.
But what I love is when I know I've got the truth on my side,
and someone draws a line.
I've done my work, and then somebody wants to come challenge that, and I just get to go back and find all my sources and throw it back at him. Like,
I got you.
What are you going to do? It feels so good because I know those people are just jackasses.
Yeah,
and it's so fun to put a jackass in their place.
I mean, it's crazy because just about every celebrity has had a fake death hoax.
Yes.
So if you're going to Google that, it's going to come up.
Right.
We don't set out to post false. In fact, the only one that comes to mind is we were duped one time with major news outlets were duped by a celebrity that had passed away, supposedly. And then we all realized, this is a new way they're getting around things to put out false information. And so now we've corrected that. And I can't recall being wrong on this stuff. We don't jump to it. It's frustrating. So frustrating.
I guess what we're saying is just leave us the hell alone.
Yes.
No. Yeah. Look, happy to be when we get something wrong, we want to know about it. But on these stories, we're trying to be careful because the last thing we want to do is cause an emotional reaction or by being wrong.
Well, the reason why I know these people are no good is if you really believe that's true and you're like, man, you're giving out false information, DM us.
Yeah.
Say, hey, just so you know, here's a link to a hoax story. I think you're incorrect, because then we can privately send back, we're not incorrect.
Everybody, it saves us time, saves face for you, so you don't look stupid.
Yeah.
And then if you happen to catch us in something where we are wrong, then you've helped us save face.
Yes.
You have to make a big show about it. And anyway,
Matthew Perry will be missed.
All this to say, it sure is sad. Halloween behind us. Hope you had a great Halloween. Hope everything went smoothly. You got all the candy you wanted and everything. Couple of movies. You may not want to watch scary movies now if that's behind you. But Kris, you took a recommendation I threw out a couple weeks ago, or a couple episodes ago. Totally Killer on Amazon.
It's like a cross between the movie Frequency and Back to the Future. Loved it. It had some lewd language for, wasn't crazy about my daughter, seeing parts of it. But other than that, I was like, man, this is really good.
Yeah, it was just really fun. I think it was just a really nice job. And like I said, it's a horror Back to the Future, and the Frequency thing. So if you haven't checked it out, do that. And then another surprise. We were looking for something to watch. We wanted something kind of Halloween, but we weren't feeling like super scary.
Yeah.
So we said, well, let's roll the dice. We're going to check out the latest version of Haunted Mansion. Had my doubts, but the cast is so good. I love Owen Wilson. I love Danny DeVito. I love the people they put in this thing. The guy, I'll have to put his name up on the screen because I don't remember it, who played the lead guy. I love him in Atlanta and other stuff. I have to say, it was super fun.
Okay.
Really fun. That's the kind of movie that I wish had been around when my kids were like 10 or 11 years old. Scary enough for that age without being super scary and still fun, had some laughs.
And that's, again, they've been trying to launch that franchise for several movies. Eddie Murphy and a couple other people did it because they want to market whatever rides they got. They want a movie to promote that ride to get people into the parks. But this one supposedly I remember in the ride where the ghosts are in the cart with you, they did a backstory on them or something like where you get to.
They really did a better job of capturing the ride. And we noticed things throughout the movie. It's like, oh, that's so good. And Katie she's a huge Disneyland fan. Like that was a big thing for her family growing up. They would travel down from the Bay Area and they'd go to Disneyland at least once a year.
Yeah.
And so she loved it. And I saw that too. I really saw the nostalgia of that. And I told her, I said, this feels like the first Pirates of the Caribbean where they just really nailed the ride.
And you see, I just remember going to Disney World every year and going, that line's too long. That line's too long. We're going to ride the teacups again.
Yeah. I'll be shocked if at some point they don't make a movie based on just waiting in line. Let's see if we can capture that nostalgia.
Oh, yes. Go stand in line in Disney. It's just like the movie.
Before they had the Fast Pass.
What happens when everybody gets the Fast Pass?
I don't know how that works exactly. I haven't been to Disney in a while, but remember when they opened the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland? And we were in radio at the time, so they would have us come to our show from Disney to promote the new ride, to get people excited about coming to see it. Now, there were a couple of perks to that. We got to stay for free in the park, which was really cool. Because it's something that's
and they closed the park early and left it just for all of us.
Just for the media who was there and like the celebs and stuff. So we saw Dan Aykroyd, Anthony Michael, all these guys from like the 80s and 90s at that time. But we rode that ride, I don't even know, 50, 60 times.
Easy. We wouldn't even get off it.
My kids were small at the time. The kids were there with us. And I just told them, I said, ride this ride as many times as you can, because I'm telling you something, when this opens to the public, there's no way we're standing in line for this ride.
And it was like always a 4-hour wait.
It was crazy. And it's a good ride. But it's not like give up hours of your life good.
And there's like thousands of different ways that the ride could work, or hundreds of different ways where it's like it could go this tunnel, this tunnel. Yeah, and all this stuff. And the computer, supposedly, it was never supposed to be the same thing twice. So we wrote it all these times. So we've seen just about, we would assume, most every possible way it could go.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So anyway, all that to say, Haunted Mansion, they captured the nostalgia pretty well. Worth a watch.
Okay.
One more quick entertainment thing. I should get a commission. I push Nate Bargatze so hard.
You do love him.
And it's funny because he's a clean comedian, which is not usually my thing. But we're big fans, love his stuff. And when I heard he was going to be on Saturday Night Live, this happened a while back, I wondered how it was going to be. Because a lot of comedians, they come out and they kill it in the monologue, and then it can be kind of iffy.
Dicey.
He's not an actor.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job of knowing what his strengths are. And his monologue was killer. And there's a section of it, you've got to watch it just for his comments on books. Because he hates reading, just like this guy. And
I read
magazines.
Still reading.
From the guy who, Entertainment Weekly, if you remember that magazine, they put those tiny little nutshell stories. And I would see him like read a page and then skip the rest.
I got the gist.
You can't even read 2 pages of a magazine article. Anyway. You should watch his section on books.
Okay.
You guys are kindred spirits.
Okay.
Absolutely. But he was very funny. And throughout the show, he was he was minimally used. He was there and he was in the sketches. He just didn't have a lot of lines because I think they saw this is not his thing.
Yeah.
And they did a good job. His George Washington sketch, though, was pretty excellent. And he was kind of the lead guy in that. But if you haven't watched SNL in a while, because I get it, me either, this one's worth watching if you like Nate Bargatze.
Okay.
So on a personal story, your wife got another really cool recognition.
Man, being back in Nashville, it's just been go. We were at the Country Music Hall of Fame induction ceremonies the other night. And so Rachel got a notification she was going to get an award. So we went and they gave out 31 awards that night. So there was, a lot of songwriters in town were there and it was fun and everything. But it was just crazy to see these legendary people in there and coming up to Rachel. And of course, I'm standing there like,
hey, I'm her husband.
Yeah. Hey, remember me? And like I annoy Rachel because I'm like pulling a Kenny Powers going, all these people are sitting there going, man, Kris Rochester's wife won a great award tonight. And I'm
sure she loves that.
Oh, yeah. So, but it was so amazing to be back in this town and see so much talent. But then it hit me, they're playing these older song clips when they introduce certain people. And you're like, oh, what a song. Like, man, that. We all know those songs that just hit you so deep.
The classics, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there thinking, the past 10 years, what songs 20 years from now are people going to be going, oh, that song? I mean, man, that was a song. Because, it's just, there's so much forgettable stuff now. And to back that up, I won't say his name, but there's an A-list artist. And we were talking to his producer. And his producer said, yeah, he doesn't know what he's going to do because he's doing music and the record label's like, yeah, we can't really use that because there's not a TikTok that goes with it.
Oh, right.
And it's like, what?
I don't know I don't do that stuff.
Yeah. But it's like, hey, we need a TikTok to go with it and we need this to do it and this. And it's like, we can't just say this is a great song and we want to put it out for people to listen to. It's got to have a component to it now to sell it. And it's just...
The world's a crazy place. Because ultimately, if you're trying to just put out good records, you have to hope that older people will buy them because they're the ones who buy whole records and still listen to media in that way. If you want to appeal to that, all that money that, the younger people have, you do have to do that kind of stuff. And it's tough for some artists.
Yeah. Well, it's those artists that are just like, I don't want to do social media as much, or I don't want to dive into that. That's the same thing like we were talking about being in radio. Terrestrial radio is leaning toward the 50 plus crowd.
Yeah, we have to.
That's all they're doing because there's nobody in their 30s. I shouldn't say nobody. It's not absolute, but it's a majority of people 35 down don't even care or know a radio station. It's like, yeah, I kind of know one.
Katie listens to the radio sometimes, and so I get to hear a little bit here in town. And we have, like every city in America, big ones, Jack FM, where they don't have DJs. And the other day it was funny, and it was and I was like, I actually said out loud, man, they nailed it. The little voice guy, if you have a Jack station, you know how it is. It's that same guy does it, the voices everywhere. And he came on and said, reason number 322 why we don't have DJs. And then he goes into babbling about the weather and what the weather's going to be. You have a computer in your hand. I've paraphrased it, but it was basically saying, we're not needed for this anymore.
Well, Garth knows that.
Yeah.
He's looked ahead. And if you notice, Garth, his radio stations, what's he doing? 6 of them that are on apps. And like I'm looking at new trucks right now, and a lot of them have app docks. They don't have a radio. And it's like, oh, if you want to listen to the radio, you just put the app for that radio station up on your dock. And I'm like, why would I listen to a radio station with commercials when I can listen to the exact things I want across the board? And it's a different world.
Yeah. Quickly, going back to what you said about the songs that we're going to remember 10 years from now, that's a great point, because I think about all the forgettable music that has come out over the last several years. And not that they're not good songs to listen to in that moment.
Fun, yeah.
There's a lot of fun music, and there's some good ones. But as far as, when's the last song that you thought, man, that is going to be a classic that is going to be remembered for 50 years?
Yeah, that people are just going to be like, wow, that song really hit me.
For me, and I have a terrible memory for this stuff, but I mean, I almost have to go back to the 90s.
You can go brown chicken, brown cow?
No.
Oh.
To find those kind of songs, because I believe those kinds of songs were still getting made. I Hope You Dance is a good example. I think that's a song.
Humble and Kind, Tim McGraw.
Sure. Even Don't Take the Girl, go back farther for him. I mean, there's certainly, and I think those kind of songs were still getting made in that time. And then things just started becoming more forgettable, more pump out as many hits as we can get from this album, and let's get it up to the top of the charts and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And there just aren't as many.
And now it's about the tracks more than it is the song. I won't say his name, but he's the most popular country guy there is now on the planet. His biggest song is on a Chainsmokers song. I mean, it's like they took the music from the Chainsmokers and said, here, write new lyrics on it and sing on that.
Yeah, well, and why shouldn't he get to do that? Because, I mean, Bruno Mars and Ed Sheeran are doing it over on Pop.
True.
Now, as long as you're willing to stand back and take the lawsuits that come with it.
But, you know, John Rich he has told us before, if you're not getting sued, you're not doing something right.
Well, that guy. Don't get me started. Quick health update. I told you a while back, my liver enzymes were high. My doctor wanted me to quit drinking, and I was going to go for 3 weeks, which is what he recommended, so I could get a new blood test. Got my new blood test, and almost all my numbers dropped back into a normal level. The liver thing's still a little high, but it dropped. And you
taking any supplements?
Not at this point.
Livoplex?
He hasn't recommended any of that. I'm going to go with real medicine. No offense to Eastern medicine. No offense to that kind of stuff. I'm going to stick with what my doctor's recommending because I like this guy a lot.
I played a doctor on silk stockings. I played a doctor on
Renegade. Still, so I haven't heard from him yet. I've only gotten the results back. But I was happy to see that number dropped. And who knew that 30 years of hard drinking was going to catch up with me someday? The nice thing is, and what I told him, I said, look, man, in my 20s and 30s,
you partied.
I partied hard. And you and I did that together. I mean, we would travel around to all these events and stuff, and we were told we were there. So, that happened. Can't deny that. And I wouldn't change my life. We had a great time. It was a lot of fun. But, you get a little older. My kids are grown, and it's Katie and I don't feel the need now to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like I bagged my limit. So it's no problem for me to lay off. So we'll see what he says. But thanks. I had some people text me and say, hope you're doing great. And I thank you for that. I'm making prep for my next big health thing, my colonoscopy.
I can't believe how easy it was.
Yeah.
I was worried about it, stressed about it, and it was a piece of cake if you do the prep right.
Yeah.
And then I literally went in and was like, okay. And then the next thing I remember is waking up and them going, yeah, it's fine.
Oh, I'm more concerned about this. And maybe this is TMI. I'm sorry. But my whole life, I've been very blessed. I'm an incredibly regular person.
Yes.
I have never in my entire life had to take any kind of laxative. I am so regular and my body is so sensitive to that when they came up with those Fiber One bars, I thought, I'll try those for breakfast when we were still working in radio. And it took me a couple of weeks to realize because I was having some stomach issues. I was like, God, I'm all crampy. I'm really what's going on? I realized, wow, it's because I'm eating these Fiber One bars. So the thought of me having to actually on purpose take this stuff to clear everything out.
I just don't understand why you would do this preps thing you have to do on the night you're going to be sitting on the front row at the symphony.
I like to challenge myself. No, actually, I had to find a hotel. I said, do you have seatbelts on your toilet? And they were, yes, perfect. I actually am getting a hotel room because Katie and I are in a really small house right now. I don't want her to be a witness to any of this. I need to be on my own and go through this in my own way and deal with it. I might live tweet it. I might put some videos up.
I don't want to see anything, know anything about this.
Nothing crazy like that. But I don't know what's going to happen, man. I'm just being honest. My body is going to go, what are you doing to me?
I don't know what's this like. Was it Bull Durham? I really don't know.
I don't know where he's going to go. I swear to God. So
that's awesome.
I'll keep you posted. That's
good luck with all that.
Coming up in like a week or two. So thank you. Now, one of probably the biggest question we get from people when they're coming to town is, hey, where do we go to see live music? Or what are some fun things to do? What are the non-touristy things to do? All that kind of stuff.
And everybody thinks because all these names of celebrities are on bars downtown. If they go downtown, they're going to run into the celebrities.
Well, because that's the second biggest question we get is, hey, if I come downtown, where can I go to see a celebrity?
And that's going to be a lot more prevalent when Garth and Eric Church open up their bars because they have plans to appear at certain times.
Yeah.
Most of these bars, this is just name only. Like the artist makes a ton of money and they agree 2 or 3 times a year to show up. They come in the back door, walk out, sing a song, and then they walk them out the back door because they know everybody on social media will post that they showed up. And so everybody thinks we got to go to their bar because they might just show up tonight. You never know.
Inside Skinny, if you want to know the place to go to run in and see a celebrity or see, whatever, just come to town and do the regular shopping you would do if you were in your town. Go to Walmart, go to Target, go to the grocery store.
Before we moved away from Nashville, I ran into Jason Aldean at Walmart. I've seen Reba at Target. Jamie Johnson at Publix.
When we first moved to Nashville in 2009, my first trip to Publix, I ran into Joe Diffie. And he was, hey, we knew each other from the business and talked for a little bit. And that was crazy. We moved back to town. Katie and I were at Whole Foods past Sunday, and I had a hat on and my mask, and he came walking towards us, and I could see he recognized me kind of, and I pulled the mask off, and he was like, Tony, Keith Urban.
Oh, wow.
One of our favorites.
I love the fact that he's so kind.
Yeah, he's just a great guy, and we've known Keith a long time, been supporters of his career for a long time. So it was great to run into him, and we talked for a few minutes. You got to meet Katie, and she was like, this is great, because we had just had lunch, and she spilled something on her shirt. I meet Keith Urban, and I got a stain on my shirt. And then when we got up, we were waiting in line to check out, and he walked up to the self-checkout, which I get. One less thing to have
to talk to somebody about your music.
And Nicole was there. I didn't get a chance to talk to Nicole, but they were together and they looked great. And it was just funny to bump in. So if you want to bump into a celebrity or see a celebrity and you go, hey, go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Go to Target, go to Walmart.
Go to coffee places, regular places.
They shop and live their lives very normally here. And the beauty of what they have here in Nashville is that most people don't bother them. They just get to do their thing. And it's just such a normal thing that they're out that nobody goes crazy. So, but there's the inside tip if you want to do that. I think that's it. I'd remind you that Amazon is still happening. We have not updated that.
We will be soon. We promise.
Sorry about that. We've been kind of tied up with some other things that we've been teasing. But we do still have the Amazon store. It's basically we have a link in our description here. We will be adding to lists and starting to put some videos up there as well. You shop on Amazon. If you buy the stuff that we post using our link, we get a little piece of that. We get a commission as part of the influencer program. So we have to say that. Want to make sure we're clear about that. But we'd appreciate it if you did it. Thanks for watching. The channel has grown crazy over we've gained about 400 new subscribers in the last 30 days. Thank you.
That's because of you sharing and liking and commenting and being a part of this. So thank you.
We really appreciate that. Doing a lot of, the daily shorts, my Music Minute thing that I've been doing. Kris has something he's kind of working on that we're going to be hopefully starting.
I'll never do it. I'm too lazy. Oh, no, I'm working on it.
But we really appreciate you liking the channel enough to subscribe and hit the like buttons and comment and all that good stuff. Keep doing that.